And it's even if I screw something up here, I might stop and do a cut and give you a splicing point. Does that make sense?
That sounds good. I'm recording right now. Hi, everybody. Tracy Cromwell here with your Personal Journey with Food podcast. I have a very special guest. My friend Terry Fossum's with me today. I'm so excited to have him on the broadcast with me. If you haven't heard Terry before, here's a bit of info about Terry. He has overcome great odds to become a highly successful international businessman, a #1 best-selling author on Wall Street Journal, a survival reality show winner, which I loved watching you in that show. That was a blast. An award-winning actor and producer, a host, a black belt, and much, much more. He didn't come by those successes easy. I loved your story in the book that we're going to talk about your childhood. After years of failure, following traditional goal setting techniques, he finally broke the code on goal setting, and he found the missing link that turned goal setting into a goal achieving. So today, Terry's going to tell that story and give you the method that's helped people reach financial goals, finally lose that weight, save marriages, and even overcome addiction. And also, we'll bring back towards the end of this, he's also being recognized as a rising creator on Facebook. You need to follow him. He's got great stuff on Facebook, and he also has his YouTube channel. So be sure to find him and follow him. And I know his content has helped me a great deal. And just knowing him through past business it's just been amazing. So thank you, Terry, for being on the show with me again. I'm excited.
Tracy, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And so for everybody, my past format used to be live. We're still going to record as if live, so anything can happen. But by the time you see this, it will actually be a rebroadcast. And however, we just want to go with the flow and have a great conversation with you today. So I'm anxious, and then I'll be quiet here in a second, but I cannot wait to talk about the book. So, all right. You have the floor, Terry.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, for everybody listening in, let me ask you a question. Have you ever reached for a goal and failed again? Now, maybe it was a business goal, a financial goal of some sorts, or maybe a weight loss goal, maybe a marital goal. But whatever it is, you're really excited. You're really going to do it this time. You're jacked. But over time, life seemed to get in the way, and the excuses seemed to make sense. And you found that you hadn't reached that goal again. Well, if that's ever happened to you, this parable may be of interest to you, called The Farmer and the Ox Cart. There once was a farmer who lived on very fertile land, but he had no way to get his crops to the market just across the river. Well, why don't you build a bridge? The village elder asked him. I'm a farmer. I don't know how to build a bridge. Ask the carpenter. He knows how to build many things. And sure enough, the farmer learned from the carpenter how to build a bridge. Now he had his bridge, but he had no way to pull his cart full of vegetables across the bridge to the market. So he bought an ox from the village elder. It was a good ox, a strong ox. But when he brought it home and attached it to his cart full of vegetables, the ox refused to pull it anywhere. This ox is no good, he said to the elder. I want my money back. What did you do to motivate him? Motivate him? He's an ox. He should know what to do and do it. Do you always do what you're supposed to do, or do you need to be motivated sometimes yourself? Find out what the ox likes and reward him when he does right. Well, the farmer knew that the ox's favorite treat was carrots, sweet and juicy. So he dangled a carrot just in front of the ox's head. And when the ox went forward to get it, he pulled the cart behind him. And that worked great. As long as the ox was hungry. When he wasn't hungry, it didn't work at all. Angry again, the farmer approached the elder. What am I supposed to do when the carrot doesn't work? Sit beside the road until he's hungry enough? This just won't do. What do you do when you don't feel like working, but know you need to anyway? Well, I think about how my crops will rot in the field and my family will starve. That gets me out of bed no matter how tired I am. Okay? What is it that the ox doesn't like? He hates for anything to touch his tail. My son grabbed it the other day and nearly paid the price. Next time the carrot doesn't do the trick, try tapping the ox with the stick in the tail. Well, that worked so well that most times just showing the ox a stick was enough to get him going. Boy, that farmer was sure proud of that shrewd purchase he'd made. This is the best ox I ever had. Sometimes the carrot worked, sometimes the stick worked. But using them both together, he always got his crops to the market. So, what does that parable have to do with you and I reaching our goals, though? Let me tell you how the concept of it made a profound impact on my life. You know, as Tracy alluded to, I was raised in literally the poorest city in the entire United States of America, a small Texas-Mexico border town by the name of McAllen. You've heard about McAllen in the news with all the border crossings and everything else going on. That's my hometown. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my hometown. I really do. I'm proud of my hometown. But it could be a little rough growing up there sometimes with the gangs and the drugs. In fact, about 14 years old, I was in my back alley one night and ended up on the wrong end of an assault rifle. 14 years old, staring down the barrel of a gun and wondering if my next breath is going to be my last. It's when I was in junior high. When I was in high school, my dad was killed. Before he died, one of the neighbors came up to him and said, "Just want to make sure you understand something. I want to make sure you understand. Those 3 boys of yours, your 3 sons, not a single one of them will ever grow up to be anything." So that's my background. That's where I come from. And I tried, guys. I tried to prove them wrong. In fact, I even started a business. And guess what? I was terrible. I was horrible. I failed miserably. I didn't know how to run a business. So just like the farmer went to the carpenter to learn how to build a bridge, I found somebody to help me build my bridge, to learn how to do a business. Now, here's the problem, though. Knowing how to do something and sticking to it over the long run are 2 totally different things, aren't they? We've all been there before. We know what to do. We know what we're supposed to do and what we should do. But life gets in the way and excuses happen, and we find that we're not doing those things that we should do. So I learned all of the self-improvement I possibly could. I listened to the tapes. I read the books. I went to the seminars, everything I could. I learned about positive visualization and manifestation and writing down your goals and everything I could cram into my head. And I tried and I failed. And I tried and I failed. And I tried and I tried and I failed. And I failed. And I reached the point where I just couldn't fail anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I gave up. I walked into the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, "I guess she's right. You really never are going to grow up to be anything." That was it. Wait a minute. No, I refuse to let that be true. For the sake of the memory of my dad, if nothing else, I refuse to let that son of a gun be right. And something happened. Something clicked inside of me. I got ticked. And all of a sudden, I got back up and I brushed myself off and I got back at it again. Now, I still faced those same setbacks and disappointments and hassles that I did before, but now I had something different motivating me. Not just the carrot, some positive visualization that I never believed would happen to a guy like me anyway, but now I had the stick pushing me forward as well. And the power of both of them, the synergistic effect of both of them was amazing. What I didn't realize is just a few years before that, a gentleman by the name of Daniel Kahneman came up with something called prospect theory, where he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that oftentimes, listen, a negatively framed message, a stick, can be more powerful than a positively framed message. And when he adapted that to economics, he won the Nobel Prize. So I applied it to goal setting. I came up with something I called the Oxcart Technique, based on that parable that I made up. And it was easy. It was simple. It was 3 pieces of paper. That's all this whole thing is, 3 pieces of paper, but very powerful pieces of paper because they start with the stick. I called it my failure scenario. How bad would it be if I didn't reach my goal? Now that's, oh, wait, we can't visualize failure. We can't talk about failure. That's the modern mantra these days. You can't do that. Yes, you can. It's been proven time and time again that it can help. And the fact is that most people who set goals fail. With everything we're hearing about and the techniques we've learned and adopted, and this is the way it's supposed to be, they fail. They're not good enough. There's been this missing link, this missing piece of the puzzle. And I found out through all of this what it was for me. And it turns out a lot of other people. This failure scenario, incorporating the power of the stick along with it. In my case, never grew up to be anything. And I would read these 3 pages out loud twice a day, out loud twice a day. Reading that would tick me off. I'd look at that and go, there's no way in the world I'm going to let that happen. I will do anything to make sure that does not come true. And what is anything? The next piece of the paper, my bridge, my daily action plan. The actions I will absolutely take, not goals, absolutes. I will absolutely do them to make sure my failure scenario never comes true. And my success scenario, that 3rd piece of paper, does. How great it's going to be when I do achieve that goal, that positive visualization, that manifestation that we all talk about. Problem solution format. And the effects were absolutely amazing. I ended up reaching the top fraction of a percent of my entire industry. That business I failed in, I became one of the best in the world at. I'm a big nonprofit guy. I've got some causes that are very important to me. And I took a local nonprofit that was in a nosedive and turned it around to becoming wealthy. And what does that mean? It means it can reach more kids that I care about. I even applied the Oxcart technique to win a survival reality show of all things.
That was so great. I love that.
Blew my mind.
That was so awesome.
And everybody that knew that I was the oldest competitor on that entire show, too, against all these special forces guys and everything else.
It was the best.
Isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
I loved that. It was great. I loved that.
So people were coming up to me going, Terry, what are you doing? So I taught them the Oxcart technique. Before I knew it, I had rooms full of people that wanted to learn from me, the kid that was never going to grow up to be anything. And we started teaching it for weight loss because, you know, that's a goal. And there was a international weight loss coach in my audience that freaked out and started teaching all of our international clients. We taught it to marriage because marriage is a goal, at least it better be. I got these emails from people saying, you just saved my marriage. And then what happened next really blew my mind. When I wrote the book, The Oxcart Technique, Blueprint for Success, it became a #1 bestseller, #1 bestseller on Wall Street Journal, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, a bestseller on USA Today, and some of the top minds in the world in science and business and self-improvement endorsed it. T. Harv Eker, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, one of my idols in the self-improvement industry, millions and millions of copies sold, endorsed it. The one that really blew me off, blew my mind completely, Forrest Mims III, named one of the top 50 brains in science by Discover magazine in the world. Called it, let me look at this, the most significant advancement in the science of goal setting in recent history. Marshall Goldsmith, named one of the top 10 business minds in the world and the #1 business coach in the world, said the Oxcart Technique spotlights your way to success. And a lot of us have heard of BNI, the Business Leads Group, the world's largest business leads group in everywhere. We've all heard of BNI. Dr. Ivan Misner, the founder of BNI, said the Oxcart, read that one, it works every time. So all these amazing things are going on. And then something terrible happened. And you read about it in the book. I was writing the chapter on addiction, and I'm wondering, should I really include this in my book? It just seemed a little bit out of place. Should I really include a chapter on addiction in this book, The Oxcart Technique? And while I was writing the chapter, I'm here at my computer. I'm writing that chapter, and my doorbell rings. And I go up there to answer it, and it was one of my housekeeping team. They were there the day before. She goes, oh, Mr. Fossum, I'm so sorry to bother you. I left my favorite sweatshirt here yesterday. Do you mind if I look around and see if I can find it? Like, sure, you know the house better than I do. Go for it, you know? but something seemed off. And she made a beeline upstairs into our bedroom area. So I kind of crept up the stairs behind her. I was able to look through, and she was in my underwear drawer. So I went the rest of the way up the stairs into the bedroom and said, your sweatshirt's not going to be in my underwear drawer. When I did that, she looks over my shoulders. Oh, there it is. There's my sweatshirt. Like, okay, I turn around and there's a sweatshirt, female sweatshirt, I guess, halfway underneath my wife's side of the bed. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, sure. I called on my wife and I said, dear, was there a female sweatshirt on your side of the bed? And she says, if there was, you would be the first person to know about it.
I read that and I was just cracking up at that.
It's the God's honest truth, man. It's funny. And for the listeners that don't know, my wife's an attorney. I'm not going to tip her off. I'm not going to be stupid.
You'd be the first to know.
So I called the head of the housekeeping team, and I said, okay, I think she was probably robbing me. She'll never be in my house again. You decide what else you want to do, but she'll never be in my house again. They called me up, her and the housekeeper, the next day, and she was in tears, crying her eyes out, and she told me what happened. See, here's what happened. 12 years ago, she was in an accident. 12 years ago, she got addicted to prescription painkillers. That's what she was doing in my drawer, was looking for my leftover prescription painkillers. Not even her husband knew. For 12 years, she's been trying and failing and trying and failing and has not been able to break the addiction. So right away, I knew I needed to help her, not enable her, but help her. So I did the Oxcart technique on her. I gave her failure scenario. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. This is a felony. You're stealing my prescription medications. You're going to prison. And I let that soak in just for a little bit. And then I gave her bridge, her action plan, unless you go to inpatient counseling and you follow that with outpatient counseling. And I will follow up with you to make sure you do it, because if you do, then her success scenario, you can be free, you can be clean, you can stop lying to your husband, you can stop lying to your friends and family, you can stop lying to yourself. And Tracy, I'm ecstatic to say that as of this day, and it's been about 12 years ago, she's still clean.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Is that amazing?
Yeah.
So I'll end with the question I started with. Have you ever reached for a goal and failed? Maybe it was a financial goal, a business goal of some sorts, maybe a weight loss goal, maybe a marital goal, maybe something else. But whatever it is, next time, give the Oxcart technique a try. Sometimes a carrot will work. Sometimes a stick will work. But if you use them both together, you'll always get your crops to the market, whatever they are.
Yeah. It was, thank you, Terry, for you've totally encompassed the book. You've told your story. You've not been handed everything you have. You've worked for, you've strived for. You've always set such a great example of taking actions every day to make things happen. And what's so fun for me, I had chills actually, is you probably didn't see in the past. You maybe had an idea of what was going to happen, but not really maybe how it would really come to fruition. But you continued making these steps. And then I always believe, the universe opens up where these opportunities come up. And I think too, just the type of person you are, that you always want to help people. You want to take your example of and help create a bridge for success for others. And so
I appreciate that. And one comment to make, though, is, and I think this is important for people to hear, and everything I say is a Terryism. Let me start by saying that. There may be truths in the world, but I don't know a single person that actually knows what they all are. But here's what you made the comment: the universe opens up, and it does. It's absolutely true. There's an old saying: the Lord helps those who help themselves.
Yes.
Now, not understanding, I don't know everything again, but for those that want to equate that to the universe helps those who help themselves.
Yes.
It ain't going to do it for you. You got to take the actions to make it happen. I can dream about winning the lottery all I want, but until I buy a ticket, I don't have a single chance. So it takes the actions behind it. So for everybody that just wants to dream it and it'll come, you know what? That does help. Positive manifestation, absolutely, without question. But you got to put the work behind it. It's not.
You have to take action. And yep. and we may not control how it comes. I guess that's the thing. Like we may have a vision of what's going to happen, but it could, one thing I'm learning is like, I could have a vision of what I think I want, but when I release it and I do what I need to do, it's better than I could have ever possibly imagined.
Funny how that works out, doesn't it?
I know, just releasing control. And that's one thing since Dave passed, I've had to really, I've had days on my knees, just like, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to create a new life? And I had to release. I said, okay, I'm willing to do the work. I will figure this out. And my future is in your hands. I'm going to do the work. And I honestly when I started reading the book, I did have a bit of my brain got a little bit crabby at having to write the failure. I did, and I got the book last week, I think it was. So I wanted to make sure I read through it to talk with you and stuff. But I felt that kickback, that I don't want to have to see this. I don't want to have to do this. And I realized that in some of my work I've been doing for myself, I've been working on that part of me to learn how to, have it release and let me do the work, and the greatest thing I loved about how you have us end the failure statement, I finally was like, okay, I can do this now. If I can say that special thing.
Yeah. This will not be my future. I will take the actions in my action plan to make sure that my destiny is different. You bet.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, I was like, it released me from the misery.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I said that wrong. This will not be my future. This will not be my future. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the critical part about that. It did exactly what it's supposed to.
I did not like it. My mind,
exactly.
I hated it. I don't like it. And I'll be honest, I'm going to go do it, but I don't want to.
And here's the critical part about that. And let's talk about the comfort zone.
Yeah.
We go away from things that are uncomfortable for us. We go away from things that are more uncomfortable for us more than, this is important, we go toward things that are comfortable for us. Mm-hmm. So our getting out of our comfort zone is uncomfortable. That's why we don't do it. Most of us will not get out of our comfort zone because it's uncomfortable. And we're going to stay away from that, more so than all that positive visualization stuff. There's a reason why most people fail at reaching their goals. And this is it. What we're talking about right now is that missing link.
Yeah.
So we go away from that comfort zone. What we need to do is we need to present something more uncomfortable than getting out of our comfort zone, than that uncomfortableness of doing so. That's where that failure scenario comes in. In my case, I'm not a salesman. I'm a mechanical engineer, for God's sake. I was in the Air Force. I was a nuclear warfare officer. None of that is sales. None of that is business. All of that was so uncomfortable for me. That's why I failed and failed and failed until I had something more uncomfortable to go away from. And then I did. And of course, we'll equate this to weight loss and fitness too, if you like hearing this.
No, and you have a great chapter in there on that as well. What I wanted to tell people is this too. Anything in the Oxcart, technique, depending on the chapters, we've got chapters on finances, marriage, relationships, weight loss, addiction, all of those. You and I were talking before we started recording if we can learn the skill set, you can apply it to every aspect in your life. And it's sort of like in my book, I've got that life radar, which talks about, looking at where in that book, I have an assessment, and no one likes to look at the assessment, but you're trying to figure out where in your life, is it finances, your spirituality, is it weight, is it whatever, but some of those are off. Say like the cleaner who came, she had one area that was extremely, low and causing a great deal of strife throughout her life, and that, so if you can have one piece that is causing, it will go and integrate into every aspect of your life. And so that's the thing I love about the book, is you're touching on some very significant aspects of people's life, even like career and job, and how to be a leader and things like that. So
life is a four-legged stool.
it is. Yeah.
Health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. And that spirituality, for all those who are going, I'm not into that stuff. You know what? It can be just as much as just being thankful. Wake up in the morning, thankful that you woke up in the morning. So if any one of those legs falls, your stool falls over. Your wealth, your finances affect your relationships, which affect your health, and affect everything is tied together without question. And you're right. The Oxcart Technique applies to all of it.
Yeah. I like this. You have a quote from Earl Nightingale. It says, all you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination. And that's where I feel, we've got the failure side that's still like, I just get cooties and blah. But then you have your bridge, which is these things. If I do these every day, if I commit to these things, then this is my future over here, which is the reward and what you visualize will happen. What I also believe you brought up is that can change. That bridge may have to change due to life circumstances.
All of it is fluid. If you're finding that you're not sticking to your action plan, then that means your failure scenario isn't strong enough. You haven't written it out strong enough, or your success scenario is not strong enough. And you bet that action plan, you've got to start when you make it. Like I talk about in the book and with my coaching clients, it's got to be something you can and will do. You can't go too far too quick. So build on it. Build on it over time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the aspect that things change in life, and I'll just keep bringing up my, Dave's unexpected passing, and that totally changed everything. I guess for me, I feel so grateful that I had a lot of skills before that happened to me. And I remember and it's a great example. I remember talking about the voice that you had when you looked in the mirror, and you're like, no, I am not going to stop. And I've had this with my health too. And I was pre-diabetic. I was ashamed. I was upset that I let this happen to myself. I was overweight. I'd lost all of those, I just kind of got lost, but I still had this voice this little bit in me. It was just this tiny voice that said, you can get out of this. You can do this. So I remember there was one night where I had, I thought, and after Dave died, I was like, I could have every excuse now. People would understand if I shriveled into a ball and totally, made choices that hurt me or would allow me to fail, and I'd have an excuse. And so my brain went off on this whole this diatribe that it was in. And then I said, so I feel, oh gosh, I have two choices here. And I knew, I was like, there's no way I was going to choose to give up and figure it out. And I had to change. I had to learn. I have to step into it. And I love, again, I'm going to make my 3 pieces of paper. I'm going to do it. And I feel like it's just this added tool, that's going to support me. And so I like how you said too, things are fluid. Life is fluid. And I think as long as we realize that, and like for you would fail upon failure upon failure. And in here you wrote, you have a quote. Well, I love this. All in or nothing at all. And sometimes I'm like, toe in.
All in or nothing at all.
Toe in. And then I'm like, jump. Okay. It's so funny. Put the toe in there. But my friends and family know I'm one to throw myself into the fire sometimes. Probably some fires I shouldn't be throwing myself in right away. But
well, I think something else that's important to talk about is, let's talk about failure again.
I would love to. That was where I was going. Perfect.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Yep.
Failure is temporary. It is not permanent unless you let it be permanent. That's why that failure scenario isn't a place to wallow. It's a place to bounce off of.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not a wall. It's merely a speed bump.
And
So
I like how you say it's merely a stepping stone.
Let's talk about that. Every single person who succeeded has failed, bar none. Too many people, when we're failing, oh my God, I suck. I'm failing. I'm horrible. I can't do this. This isn't the path I'm supposed to go on. All these things go into our head. When the God's honest truth is the opposite of failure, or the opposite of success, is not failure. We think the opposite of success is failure. No, it is not. The opposite of success is not going through failure, because every single person who succeeded has failed. So if you are failing, I want you to switch your mental dialogue into, yes, outstanding. I'm on the path to success. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. You're on the right path. Keep failing. Keep failing. Keep failing till you succeed.
Is it Harbecker says fail faster? Isn't it him?
It could be. And it's true. Get out there.
I think he does. Yeah. Cause I follow him as well. Taking some of his classes, especially like with his son and, who Jesse is taking over a bunch of stuff. And so I have a lot of his online courses and stuff like that. And it's just gotta, but I like to see
you Harv endorsed my book. I was blown away.
I saw that and I was like, that is so cool. Yeah. Very awesome. Yeah. But you also stay here. You are merely, in regard to failure, you're saying you are merely experiencing what you must experience to reach your goals. You are traversing the stepping stones of success. And I think too, we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes failure has to teach us that, because we don't know sometimes even what to ask when we're on a new journey. And so, in terms of weight loss and fitness, I try and work with my clients too. It's just, there's going to be, you have to be expecting failure in the aspect as the learning tool, oh, okay. So I tried this, but for me and my lifestyle, I got to fine tune something more customized. And I feel like for you with Oxcart as well, everything's customizable. Everyone writes their own 100%. Story. They have their own stepping stones, their own bridge to get where they want to go.
Yeah. Even throughout the entire book, I give examples, of people. And their different failure scenarios, success scenarios, their own action plans for all the different things we've talked about, building your business, retiring as a millionaire, even if you don't make a lot of money, that's in there, weight loss, etc. But those are merely examples. And in my coaching, I work with people on developing their own failure scenarios, success scenarios, and action plans themselves. It's got to be yours or you won't do it. My failure scenario will not inspire you to keep going when life gets in the way and you don't have time anymore. And there are more important things that take your time and all that. Mine won't do it for you. You got to write your own.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's doing the work, giving yourself. The other thing you brought up too, which I thought was good, is we can talk about not having time. So what is your opinion on that?
Yes, you do.
What is your thought on that?
And you think I might have some thoughts on that.
I do.
And it's amazing. And I give some stats in the book about literally, honestly, how much time we waste every day that you do, listener, right now. For everybody going, I just don't have time to do that right now. Bull poop. Yes, you do. You're wasting more time than you could possibly realize. And if you truly believe that you don't have time, what I have you do is for a week, at least starting with a day, but for a week, write down what you're doing every 15 minutes. Now, before you go, oh, I'm not going to do that. Well, fine. Then, the universe helps those who help themselves. Don't take the actions. That's up to you. But what you might consider is attorneys do it all day long. They write down every 15 minutes of their day all day long. And if you're thinking you don't have time right now, if you were to actually write down every 15 minutes, it's going to do two things. Number one, it's going to be somewhat informative of how you're really spending your time. Now, I only say somewhat, it should be quite revealing, right? No, only somewhat, because you're doing this, you're not going to waste as much time. You're actually going to be more focused on doing the things you should do, because you're going to start writing it down. Oh, well, crap, I'm not going to look at Facebook that much, unless it's for Terry Fossum stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly. And for mine, you can look at
there you go.
You can look at mine and Terry's stuff.
That's all day long. Other than that. But and
That's good.
looking at social media, or I've got to check my email, or all these things we waste so much time doing. You have time to reach whatever goal that is. And for time for those people that say, well, I'm going to wait until I have more time because I don't want to just do it halfway. When I do something, I like to do it all the way. That's one of the biggest BS lines I've ever heard in my life, too. You know what? Taking a step towards your final destination is better than taking no step. Starting slowly is better than starting no way at all. And usually starting slowly is better than starting fast, quite frankly, because you're going to screw up and learn so much along the way. So I've got this Blow the Bolts audio series we were talking about.
Yes. Blow the bolts.
It's helped so many people. It's been fantastic. And what it's based on is the space shuttle. If you've ever seen a rocket launch on TV or in the movies or whatever, you see the countdown going on, T minus 10, 9, 8. By T minus 4, talking about the space shuttle, all main engines of the space shuttle combined are firing at full power. At T minus 4, all that smoke, all that fire, you've seen that, and yet it's still on launch pad. How can that be if it's firing at full power? Because it's being held back by 6 relatively tiny bolts. 6 bolts are holding it back. At T minus 0, explosive charges are set off in those bolts that blow them away. That's why NASA calls it blowing the bolts. And that space shuttle can finally take off and do everything God and man intended to be. I looked at that. In fact, my brother, an astronaut, taught me that. And I was blown away. I'm like, wait a minute. It's the same thing with us. Until we get rid of those things that are holding us back, I don't care how much power, positive visualization, goal setting, writing down our goals, all that we do, we're not going anywhere. We're not even leaving the launch pad. So it became my job to talk to successful people and unsuccessful people around the world to find out what are those 8 bolts. And I found out there are things like self-doubts. So many people have self-doubts like me. Fear. Fear of success, fear of failure, so many fears, fear of getting out of that comfort zone, excuses like I don't have time for that right now. And the other bolts. So you can, for those who are interested, you can go on. In fact, I'm going to make a quick announcement. For those who are interested, you can go on www.terrylfossum.com, terrylfossum.com, and look under Blow the Bolts. And actually going to put them on sale. You can go on there right now, and it's a 4-hour audio series. So you don't listen to it in one sitting. When you're in the car, anytime you're sitting around, you can listen on your phone, any device, whatever. And it's going to help you blow those bolts that have been holding you back. So you can go there, and for a very limited time, we'll have them on sale for you that you can download them and blow those bolts for you.
It's fantastic. And it's all hitting home again. I know it can be hard for people to see the reality of where they're at and because it's too scary. But if we don't know truly, and again, I'll use all your examples, what's happening in our marriage. We don't know truly what's happening with our relationship with food. We don't know what's truly happening with our finances, truly with our job, or our ability to have an astounding career, ability to do these things because we're afraid to look. Then the opportunity to choose the right bridge can't happen, right? I mean, if we're not willing to take that time to look at those bolts, I love that analogy, and say, okay, we have to know the truth of the situation. And as long as we keep our head in the sand and think it'll just go away, we're just always going to be held down and straddled and not able to live free and not be able to be, our true selves. Even like for ourselves, we hide our true personality because we're afraid that people won't like us. But how do we ever find the right people in our lives if we never are our true selves,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the greatest things I've learned in acting, because I've get a wild hair, decided I want to see if I could do acting, and that ended up working out also, but only because I went to a lot of carpenters who helped me to build my bridge. Understand that. Always open for advice. And one of the greatest things that I learned, because for me acting was hard. Again, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a nuclear warfare officer. What the heck? And I try to figure, who am I supposed to be? And, what, all that kind of stuff that goes into your head when a camera turns on all of a sudden. And one of my acting coaches taught us all, you are enough. That's it. Just be you. And when I finally internalized that, it helped for everybody listening and watching. Just be you, just be you. Don't worry about modeling after anybody else. Just be the best version of you can be. Get out of your comfort zone, do the things that you want to do, but just be you. And don't worry. If you're goofy, be goofy. If you're stoic, be stoic. Whatever you are, just do it.
Just do it. Yes.
Just do it.
Yes. And it changes the energy that you put out, and then it'll change the reactions of others towards you. And sometimes it'll ease so much distress. And I love in that relationships chapter, you give a lot of great input there, and just, and I think when we try and mask, or we assume we need to behave a way someone expects us to, they may not even have that expectation, right? So it's all something we made up.
No, it's true. That's the biggest thing when I've worked with people. Again, I do it some on my coaching, but in some of the group sessions I've done, seminars I've done and everything, we'll go there. We'll do the marriage one. But the thing I found the most out of that, the biggest benefit of doing the Oxcart technique for your marriage, is if both parties do it, you and your significant other do it, and talk about it. Talk about your action plan, because I have people all the time that put stuff on their action plan that they think is important to their spouse. That's not. It's not. But more importantly, they haven't put things on that are definitely, but we've all heard about the love languages. They're absolutely true. And if you don't have that on your action plan, there's going to be a disconnect. So that's why the book and the coaching and the seminars all promote work with your spouse on that to the extent that you're comfortable. And that's important.
Yeah. And so I just love the book, and I'm excited to go back and be able to read it like you want the reader to read it, which is take the steps that you ask them to take before you move on to the next thing. And I love it. I could see this book, sort of how my vision was for mine, getting all tattered and, sticky notes, and I've already written in it. I love having a book in my hand that I can circle and go back and highlight. And like I have in the Retire Rich or Poor section, I saw a lack of a plan. Big problem. But then I looked through, you have a list of ideas of what could be on somebody's dream, right? And one I circled was, I want to be able to continue to be active in both mind and body. I want to be able to afford and experience new things, travel. And this was fun. Wine, really good wine and good food in Paris and Boston and anywhere else I want to eat. And then this one, the 3 B's, a boat, some bait, and some beer, so it could be whatever it is that you want, so it's a really great book to just, let yourself enjoy the process. And you're going to, to everyone listening, you're going to have some definite kickback from, your brain. And then you also talk about in here, I believe you were talking about new neural pathways. You have to you got to get your brain to function different and learn to be different. So I loved that too, because it's so true. We wire our habits. So
absolutely. And that's what this whole thing's all about. We exactly like you said, we are our habits, and the Oxcart technique establishes those daily habits you need to take for whatever the goal is. It sets there. We know what to do. Again, we know for the most part what we're supposed to be doing. This keeps you doing it. And the motivation is the most important part. We don't take action based on fact. We take action based on emotion.
Yes.
That's why it's so important to create those emotions, both the ones to get away from, the kick in the butt that we all need, and the positive ones to go toward. Because we have those negative emotions, again, with our comfort zone, getting out of it. So let's redirect that to something that's going to help us get out of them, push us out of them, and help us succeed.
Excellent. So is there anything else? I could talk to you for like another 3 hours, but I know we can't do that. So is there anything else you'd like to bring up to everyone before we head out? I think it's just been a great opportunity to speak with you about your book and everything. So,
Well, I appreciate that. I think one thing I'd leave everybody up with is I'm open for your input. You can find me easily on social media. My website again, terrylfossum.com. There's a way to contact me through there. And if there's, I'm putting out a lot of content right now. And again, so excited to be whatever they call it, a rising creator on Facebook.
yeah.
And LinkedIn, by the way, I'm starting to do a lot on LinkedIn. Basically, much of the social media, not all of it. And there's an email list on my website that you can get on, and I'll be pumping out, about once a week, these different videos, the different content I'm coming out with that hopefully is helpful. But I want your input. I got blown away at a message I received the other day because I'm putting out all these different videos on overcoming your fears, your self-doubts, etc. From a teacher. I didn't expect this in the world. Terry, just want to let you know that I'm showing your videos to my class. They can't wait to see them, and we have discussions afterwards. And so, first of all, I was dumbfounded, and then I thanked her, and then asked her, "What else can I do for you? What are some topics you'd like me to hit?" And she gave me a couple. So I did videos for her, and I shared them with the world, but for her specifically. So feel free to reach out and get on my email list, follow me on social media, and let's keep doing this. And the final thing I want to leave you with is you're awesome. And this isn't just some BS from some motivational guy. Look, let me tell you, it's the God's honest truth. You're awesome. And you can make a difference in the world. You have more power within you than you have any idea that you have. I didn't for me. And now I'm finding out I'm making a difference. You can too. If you doubt that at all, figure out a cause that's important to you and go volunteer a little bit for it. Find out what happens. You have greatness within you. You can get out there and make a difference in the world. So get out there and make a positive difference. Make the world a better place because you're in it. Thank you all so much. Tracy, thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thanks so much, Terry. Yes, everyone, you're awesome. It's true. And we can, and we don't know it, how we impact others. And you have no idea maybe how you've benefited someone else by something you said. And I think if we focus on that, how can we make a better world? And it starts with each one of us. Thanks for that reminder, Terry. That was awesome, Fossum. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. All right, everyone. Thanks again for being listening to Your Personal Journey with Food with Terry Fossum. Please find him on social media. He's got great videos, great audios. Go to his website, Terry L Fossum, right?
You bet.
Yep. And I know it's been a pleasure watching everything you've started to do, and you definitely make a difference in my life. So I wanted you to know that. So.
That means the world to me.
Yeah,
you know it does.
Okay. All right. We'll see everyone next time on Your Personal Journey with Food podcast. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.